Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. First and foremost, thank you so much for attending our SOA Talk by Expert webinar in conjunction with World Ocean Week WOW 2022 South China Sea Repository and Reference Center RRC Open Day. I am Camelia representing RRC UMT and I will be your MC for the day. I hope you guys are always in good health and stay tuned till the end as the attendance link will be shown at the end of the event. And the most important thing is you might get a lot of knowledge and exposures from today's talk. Now, we have awesome lines up from different regions, particularly from Malaysia. Shout out to our very first speaker for today, Miss Mary Jane. Let me introduce herself first. She's from Philippines, is the SOA Southeast Asia representative and Tangpi-Tangpi founder. Tangpi-Tangpi initiative that aims to increase the entrepreneurial skills, income, and social status of the women of Apo Island did impress me and something that I look up to. As a woman who support women empowerment and sustainable entrepreneurship, I find this idea of Miss Mary Jane, very outstanding and should become an example to others. So yes, without further ado, welcome Miss Mary Jane to the stage. Miss, can you speak louder? Okay, yes, clear. Okay, yes, all right.
Thank you for the introductions, and
Recording in progress.
I'm looking forward for the presentation today, and hopefully we will I guess give us insight for you to be part of the organization and continue what you are doing with your respective community, especially on what you're doing in the ocean for the conservation of our oceans. So let me share my screen. Okay. Mm,
Miss,
can you see just the screen, or it's including my notes?
okay, I can see the slide, but can you make it
Hello.
larger? Can you make it larger? Yes, perfect.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
now,
Let
okay,
me go back.
all right.
Slideshow. Okay. Cool. So once again, good morning, everyone. I am Marijane Lamoste, and I will be uh, presenting to you Sustainable Ocean Alliance Southeast Asia. So as mentioned, I'm the Sustainable Ocean Alliance regional representative, and as mentioned before by the previous presenters from yesterday, SOA is a global community of youth, entrepreneurs, and experts, all collaborating to solve the greatest challenges facing our oceans. So today, I will go back to our vision, which is restoring the health of the ocean in our lifetime. That's our biggest goal. And during our time today, I will share with you how we will make it happen through our process of developing leaders, cultivating ideas, and accelerating solutions. Okay. So before we even begin to discuss what is happening in SOA Southeast Asia, allow me first to, how do you say, go back to uh, looking at the structure of how SOA looks like. So I believe not all of you was able to attend yesterday. So hopefully this gives you an insight of how we work. So basically there is SOA Global. These are the staff of SOA around the world. And these people does all the hard work in securing partnerships, funds, mentors, marketing, and more to keep the organization going. And the SOA regional representative, it is at the moment, it is composed of seven regional leaders and hopefully more in the coming years. And these regional leaders facilitates the leadership and community development of SOA about ocean innovation. And I'm one of those multinational representatives. And that next will be the ambassadors and hubs. So the ambassadors and hubs are self-organized group of youth individual. They can be university, they can be organization that focuses on tackling issues related to oceans, and this basically raises awareness that we need to take action in solving ocean problems. And by far, around the world there are 775 hubs, and it's scattered across 165 countries. So in Southeast Asia alone, there is 10 hubs, and hopefully there will be more hubs in the coming years. And lastly will be the young ocean leaders, and these are the ocean advocates under 35 years old. So they join as an independent or as an organization. And personally, I started as a young ocean leader in 2021. And upon seeing the opportunity, the learning it gave to me, I decided to take take in a new role. So I become, after becoming a YOL, I became the regional representative. And basically my main role and my main goal is to inspire more youths, and hopefully to provide them with platform that they can get support with their projects. And so as we've there are many ways that you can, like, especially let's focus on hubs. So there are many ways that you can participate or you can be involved. And I would particularly discuss to you the two core programs of SOA. The first one is the Ocean Leadership Program, and the second one will be the Ocean Solutions Accelerator Program. So the Ocean Leadership Program, it is a global movement of leaders now in over 165 countries, and the program has many branches, including hosting capacity and educational events, funding projects, and supporting grassroots initiatives. So WOW event is amongst the projects that are under Ocean Leadership Program. And then on the other hand, the Oceans Solutions Accelerator, these are mainly focusing on startups. So these are already youth organizations that already have like products, or they already have an ongoing activities under that addresses the targets of SDG 14. So as of, I guess, as of the present, regional representative around the country. Um, let me. So as a hub, how do we fit in? So provide what we usually provide is support to our network, especially in Southeast Asia, that we have 10 hubs at the moment. But aside from providing support to Southeast Asia hub, I also support other regional representatives. So I mentioned earlier that we are actively participating in 72 hubs. So like this, we have guests coming from other regions. So yesterday there was there was Daniel who was representing North America, and we have South America as well coming today, which is Mark, and we have other regional representative from Europe, from Africa, and Australia, and all of this are the activities ranges from cleanups to coastal cleanups, training of environmental, I guess, leaders, and hosting, fundraising, and ecosystem restoration. So to be considered as a hub, it's basically you need to implement a project. The SOA alone have themes, yearly themes, and basically you have to focus on at least two of the themes that you gonna focus for that year. And what's the advantage of being a hub or being part of the SOA is that you become priority to micro grants opportunities. And for Southeast Asia, so the Southeast Asia Hub was started by Rafid Shidke in 2020, and then since 2020 there has been 10 hubs and hopefully counting. So when Rafid started SOA Southeast Asia in 2020, the main goal is to basically grow the presence of SOA in our region, because it's still something new, and basically to increase the interest of application. So not just focusing on like students, we can go beyond like entrepreneurship, how do you say, like research and community, I think community organization, rather than focusing on scientific studies. So basically focusing on grassroots communities and grassroots leaders. And by far, these are the hubs in Southeast Asia region. So in Indonesia alone, we do have we do have three hubs in Indonesia, and this just shows that there is a high interest of youth to create more hubs in a specific country. So for example, in Malaysia there is one actively, like My Ocean Hope, under I think it's still under the university, or they are working closely with university. So there is an opportunity to add more hubs in the near future if there is a need to do so. And then the goal of the hubs is there to hopefully support each other, to support the leaders, and contribute, to help each other. So what I'm doing now as a representative presenting to you is showing you that there is a growing network in SOA in respective countries, and then there is basically it's open to further creating more hubs in the future. And hopefully you can definitely connect with these hubs in Southeast Asia region, and we can also leverage the contact to even reach out regions outside of Southeast Asia. So let's go with case studies of this is basically what a SOA hubs looks like. So basically, if you are a hub, you need to have a hub vision. That is basically you are joining because you are aiming for something. You want to change something. So for example, SOA Thailand, their main vision at the moment is to basically to connect people with different backgrounds and knowledge, especially those individuals that are tackling complex issues related to the ocean. So they SOA Thailand is quite young as a hub, and they have also changed their management, or they have changed their members throughout the years. So by targeting even just more followers, that's already you can see that they are doing their own ways to I guess, to facilitate more involvement of young, I think, young entrepreneurs, young scientists, young environmentalists in SOA. And for example, for SOA Timor Leste, so they are, I guess, they are more established compared to SOA Thailand, and their vision alone is basically they wanna, they wanna involve more community. They want to gather more leaders and, I guess, more diverse people coming together. So um they have, I guess, they have more, their goals in a year is more on like interactive activities. So for example, they want to create like an ocean hero program, bringing young Timorese together. So school camping, they do coastal cleanup. So small things basically just to activate the hubs in your respective regions. And then you can, for example, if you have during one of these events, you want to invite speakers. So we can definitely help out by connecting with you with people that are aligned with what you are currently doing, or aligned of the activity that you are about to do. So the next topic will be the ocean leadership micro grants. So basically, I was one of the micro grantee at SOA. So last year I did receive about 5,000 US dollars to, how do you say, to, to continue the work that I was doing with Tagpi-Tagpi. Based on my introduction earlier, I'm a social entrepreneur. So what I do is basically I train women in coastal communities through personal initiative training, so that their entrepreneurship skills will be highlighted, or I guess you know help them to be more entrepreneurs. And then what we did provide, what we did with the grants as well, is we partner with organizations that does coastal cleanup. So the plastics that we've collected, we give it to the women so that they can use it with their production of circular toys. So definitely the funding is there. We just need to, uh, ensure that our project are meeting the qualifications and meeting the targets. And there's no such thing as wrong solution. There's always a way to improve and, I guess, make it happen. And collaboration is there. Mentors will always be there to help you out. So definitely, microgrants is just a way to communicate and collaborate. And definitely, I will be able to help you with that. So I will be able to help you with that. And then, yeah, this is the projects that we were doing. So basically, the women's created they upcycled old clothes, like from secondhand shops, denims and fabrics. And Ocean Ripple organization, they collected trash from the ocean and stores nearby the coastal community. So once disinfected, we turn over it to the women and they use it as stuffing. And then what we found out as well is that these toys can be used for kids with special needs, because there is a sensory aspects in it. So basically, if you're up, I'm willing to train more communities in the long run, and hopefully, Malaysia or other Southeast Asian countries will find Tagpi-Tagpi valuable to introduce to your respective communities. And then as well, I believe you've heard about the UN Ocean Conference that is happening in 1 week. So I'm super happy that Tagpi-Tagpi, and as a SOA representative as well, I will be able to go there and present what is happening in, not just in Tagpi-Tagpi, but also Southeast Asia in general. So hopefully, I'll be able to bring something back to the region as well, that be more value, to bring more value to every what we are doing in our oceans. And one thing as well is the carbon ethics. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with them. They are a social enterprise based in Indonesia. So they do a lot of things, but their main goal is to offset the carbon. Um, and what they do at the moment is they focus on nature-based solutions ranging from coastal protection, terrestrial forest. So basically from how do you say, from the ocean to the forest. I'm not sure what's the right term for that, but I think there is. So carbon ethics is that whether you are an individual or a business, every one of us has to play a role in protecting our oceans. So the carbon they have a carbon voice curriculum. So basically it's a it's like it's like a course that you can you can join in. So this is hopefully that can ignite your interest and curiosity regarding climate issues and blue carbon ecosystems. So it's a big coverage, but I think this is something new to us. But definitely our regions are sharing the same problems. So I'll share with you the links to this I guess to this um projects on after the presentation. So why join SOA Ocean Leadership Program? Why should I be part? Why should I join? Yeah, how? Why should I be a member and be involved? So basically, there's few reasons. And first is a micro grant. There is a grant opportunity for you. There is to fund your project. And um, let's be honest that it's hard to be alone. It's challenging. So it's really good to have um, it's really good to have like I guess a solution that we can lean on. So we are solving different wicked problems. And to be honest, we will always fail. But if we have the guidance of experts and mentorship, we can learn from those mistakes. And by learning from those mistakes, basically you can create more impact when I guess you need to improve your solution as well. So you don't learn by just saying I want to do something. You learn by doing, and I think making mistakes. And then lastly is that be part of the global hub network. So it's really something special that I found, like for for the past few months of being a SOA representative. I was really overwhelmed with all the connections and opportunities coming our way. It mostly does not involve financial, but I receive a lot of opportunity to speak more what we are doing at SOA, what are we doing in my community at Tangpi-Tangpi, what are the problems in Southeast Asia hubs as well that needs support. So for example, the this WOW event, they were looking for more presenters to not just represent SOA, but to hopefully inspire more youth across the region. So aside from the three things that I mentioned, the the network is growing. And that is something that in Southeast Asia region, so far out of the 10 hubs, we are still more than 1,000 members. So that's still small compared to the I guess the countries that SOA is now actively, I guess, inspiring more youths. But that's okay, because we are still young. So that's why we do this kind of events to encourage more youth to come together and take advantage of the opportunity that is being provided by SOA. And then how to join SOA? Basically, there are few ways. And to begin with, I guess we have at the moment we have a membership program through Mighty Networks, and basically it's like a WhatsApp, but a more formal platform where SOA from across around the globe, um, I guess, can share what's going on, can ask for help. So I'll drop the link soon. And the second one will be subscribing to the SOA mailing list. And the third one will be, you need to reach out to your hub leaders in your respective countries, or you can reach out to me, even to me, and I can always accommodate calls to assist you better and participate on activities. And definitely you can consider applying for grants, and you can even start your own hub. And for that, we need to have another discussion on how you can be a hub. And I think that would be that's all for me on my part. And I hope you learned something today, and hopefully this brings you another insight to, I guess, participate more and take advantage of the opportunities being given to you. Thank you.
Explanation. So, any question from the platform? So far, no. Thank you very much again, Miss Mary Jane. I hope there will be more young volunteers who participate and support in the SOA Asian region in the future and produce more incredible leaders. Thank you, Miss Mary Jane.
Yeah.
So let's
I can see a question though,
yeah.
but I can possibly answer the
Oh,
question directly, I guess,
oh sure.
to the or
Sure.
okay. So Nur Salwa is asking, like, what is your tips in keeping the local community to get involved and succeeding in the project you are working on? So I think the secret recipe is you really need to build the relationship first with the community that you're about to work with. So you just don't go there and bring your own solution. They need to be part of they need to be part of the solutions that you're creating, because by the end of the day, it's their community and they need to basically own the solutions themselves. And that's one way, I guess, to for a project to succeed.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Mary Jane. All right. Let's come up to the next speaker, Miss Maryrose Tapilatu, founder of our Conservesia, who is passionate about building coastal community and conserving Papua's bird-hit marine resources. With the title "Our Ways to Conserve the Sea," the stage is yours, Miss, for your talk.
Okay. Good morning, all. Can you hear my voice well?
Yes, I can see clearly, but make it
Okay.
larger.
Thank you. Okay. First of all, I would like to say good morning to all of you and warm greetings from the eastern part of Indonesia. Uh, I would like to
Sorry, Miss.
deliver our appreciation.
Sorry, Miss Mary. Miss Mary, can
Yes.
you make it larger? Make it slideshow. Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Miss.
Okay. Okay. Okay, I will continue. So I will deliver our appreciation and also the opportunity that have been given to our conservancy team to share in this RRC Open Day at the World Ocean Week event that being conducted by University Terengganu, Malaysia. As have been introduced before, my name is Mary, and I'm the founder of our conservancy team, which based on the bird's head seascape at the eastern part of Indonesia. So before we continue to know what is exactly our conservancy, what is the things that we have done, the ways that we conserve the sea, I would like to introduce you to let you know about what is exactly the bird's head seascape. Okay, so in here you can see bird's head seascape is eastern part of the Indonesia, which covering the West Papua province for about 225,000 square kilometers from the Cendrawasih Bay at the east, Raja Ampat Island in the west, Tambrau in the north, Triton Bay in the south, and all of the province, all of the district is surrounded by the majestic ocean. In this beautiful ocean, at the bird's escape contain a really abundant marine biodiversity. But first, maybe you are wondering why is it called bird's head seascape? So it's not said administratively, so you cannot find it because if it's said it in administration, it will be said West Papua province. But people say Papua's bird head because when you zoom out the Indonesian map, it will look like a bird's head at the beginning of the West Papua province. So, yeah. In here, I put some of the marine biodiversity that contain that in the Papua bird's head seascape. So, at the left side on my, okay, at the left side, on the upper side, you will see a really pretty pygmy seahorse. So this is one of the most interactive things for the microfauna that can be found at the Raja Ampat Island. When you want to look for it, you have to really have focus vision or maybe use really a micro lens to get to the picture as clear as this picture. And then the next one, at the middle part, you see a manta ray, a great oceanic manta ray that can be found at the Raja Ampat Island. Okay, on the right side, you will see a leatherback sea turtle that is found at the Tambrau Regency. So people say that leatherback turtle is the biggest, oldest living marine dinosaur that is still exists until now, and their biggest nesting site is located at the Birdside Seascape, which is at the Tambrau. And in the middle section, you will see the grouper fish, from the big one to the medium one that can be found at the coral reef ecosystem. So really rich, exactly. And the last one you will see at the middle is really white mangrove ecosystem. So it had been said on Mangrove Bay that Papua mangrove ecosystem is the most largest mangrove ecosystem in the world, and you can find it at the Papua. So it's really amazing, and in there you will also can find mangrove crabs. And the last but not least is the whale shark that can be found at the Triton Bay. So seeing this really introduce us to the really great marine biodiversity that contain in here to grow the necessity for loving our marine organism, this rich biodiversity that we have. But despite of all of the greatness that contain in the bird's head seascape, we also facing major marine threats. I just put some of the major things that happening, especially in bird's head seascape. So the first of all is the bomb fishing. Maybe you guys haven't seen before. fishermen through the bomb, then just collect the fish easily but destruct the coral reef. And then the next one is the coastal sand mining. So the construction people, they often get the material from the coastal sand and use it for construction to build buildings, houses, even industry, and roads, things like that. And in the middle one, you see sea turtle egg poaching. So I often, when I went to the fish market, I see people sell sea turtle egg just like a normal thing, just like a normal egg that they sell, where actually sea turtle that need to be conserved, not to be eaten or consumed by us. And then the next one is coral exploitation. So people often get the coral and use it for home decoration and even accessories. And last one, not least, not excluded, we all also facing marine debris threats. Okay, so that's why me and my friends from our conservancy, we collected our talks, the things that we have learned from the college, that we have this flaming urge to be as a young generation to conserve the really biodiversity that I have shown before, just a few examples, but really great biodiversity that we want them to be conserved well. So we have the same vision based on different backgrounds and to create a sustainable Papuans bird habitat according to the Sustainable Development Goals for the future of Papua Sea. And in order to get to this vision, we have five main missions. So we raise public knowledge of ocean conservation, provide creative and insightful education, encouraging young people to participate in environmental conservation activities, provide data, and also strengthen collaboration with local to even international organizations. So I will describe more about the things that we have done. So we were established on 2022, and since that, we have done some of the things that we want to get from the mission that we have been stated before. So this one is Patarian movement, a workshop that we conducted for the local Papuans mother who use the black coral. So on the left side here, you can see this is a species called black coral that is being used as an accessories, where black coral is need to be conserved, not to be use it just for our accessories that we will be bored of it and not use it anymore. So it has to be protected because of the habitat for a lot of marine species. So we conducted this workshop. We invited young women and also local moms and also other young generation who sell the accessories, and we give them the solution, the alternative that can be used to build develop a craft accessories, things like that. So in here we provide a solution for using dry leaves, dry flowers, dry roots, things like that for a decoration. It can be profitable for them to be sold, so they don't have to get to the black coral anymore, and they will and we give them tips and tricks how to maintain the sustainable ways for their economic activities. Okay. And then the next one is permission to change. So this is our ongoing project right now. We conducted a workshop for food and drink industry to provide them alternatives for the single-use plastic production, because we have read the data that shows that food and plastic production give most of the contributor to the marine marine debris. So we provide them a solution on how to be more sustainable on using of their packaging in production of their food, in the way they cooking. So it will be more sustainable and can eliminate the production that is being produced by them to the marine to the debris itself. Okay. And then the next one is data collection. So as a students, as a college students, we have learned a lot from our lecturers and in our classes, and we know that the things that we can do is to apply what we have learned to the use for the research to provide data that will be assist the government decision on the things that happening to our ocean. In here, I give an example of the publish of the proceeding, the analysis of coastline change in Manokwari during 1995 to 2021. And you can see the study site is on my background here. So this is the study site where the coastline changes happening in this study site. And we also involved in both national and international conference to share about our talks and the data that we have collected. And also the last one is the book of the Encyclopedia of Black Corals that we have published. You can get it both printed on online. If you want to get it printed, you can just email us and we will send you the ways to get the printed book. Or maybe you want to get the online book, you can just search it in the Google Play Book because it has been provided. Name the Encyclopedia of Black Corals. Okay, and the next one you see over here is our product. So our product is the product that we develop using single-use plastic, the bottle cup single-use plastic that we transform into earrings, mask straps, keychains, and also magnets that we sell to gain profits from the selling to maintain our programs that we are doing right now. Okay, the next one will be Marin After School Program. So Marin After School Program is the program that we conducted because we believe that education is an indispensable component that will be needed to achieve the conservation value in the society. So we taught the local coastal kids how the basic learning, how to read, how to count, and how to speak well, so they can know and identify and talk to the other people about the value of the conservation in their area. Because in here, in this example, we are doing this at the nesting site of the sea turtle, where sea turtles often come and go to lay their eggs. And that will lead us to our other project that we have done, the marine species conservation, where we collaborate with the local people and also local NGOs and communities to move the sea turtle eggs when they have been laying down, and then put it in the protected areas. So it's been surrounded by fences to protect from the predators or even humans that will take them and sell them, like the example that I have shown before. Okay, the next will be the most fun, simplest things to do on the free time. So yeah, when we have our free time, we invited our friends together, and before we do diving, snorkeling, swimming, so we invited them to, how about if we do coastal cleanup, so to conserve the sea in the simplest way. And this is what we have done. And it's really a fun thing to do with your friends. Okay, the next one will be partnership. So we have been building collaboration with the SOA, and also Indonesian Ocean Pride from the university, and also the University of Papua, Save Philippine Sea, Here's to Our Ocean, Wisely, and also the last will be the media press. We collaborate with the IDN media to spread the awareness about the ocean conservation through their publication. And last but not least is the social media outreach, because we believe that we often, if we use our gadgets, our phone cell, we will reach to our social media, and the way that we can interact with them is by spreading the awareness, spreading the information, and cultivating the love to the marine nature through social media, and even in the information that is needing the tips and trick, and in recycle, and safety when you are swimming or doing snorkeling around the coral reef and things like that. Okay, that is our username, our conservancy. You can just follow us, and we will share you more about the things. Okay. At the end, I will end it with the quotes. Thinking globally and acting locally would go along the ways to reduce ocean threats drastically. So by doing the things that we can do by starting now, you can give contribution to reduce the ocean threats that is happen in your surrounding area. Okay, that's all from me. Terima kasih. And you can contact us by the detailed information that I have put before. Okay, I give the time back to the MC. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Mary, for the insightful talk. So the first question I have been taken from the platform. What are the current challenges in conserving the sea you face right now? And how do you manage to resolve the problem?
Okay, the current challenges is when we want to reach to other people. So based on our experience, it often is a little bit hard to reach for the older people, the older generation, because of the things that they have done before, like their recent activities, like the things that they like using, maybe they have used plastic for their whole life, and we giving them the another provide them another alternative, and it will be hard for them to change the direction, because it has been found that it will be easier to do these things that they have done before. And that's why in order we see in these challenges, we connect to the younger people, the younger generation, to give the message to do the change from ourselves.
Perfect. Another question I got from the platform. Hi, Maryrose. Awesome projects that you had presented about the marine after-school programs. Are the childrens involved from the island itself or from the mainland?
Okay, thank you for the question. The local coastal kids that we've been visited is located at the mainland, but not reachable to the city. So they how to say, they lack of connection. Like, it's really hard to get internet signal in there, and it's really hard to people to reach them. So because that's why because not really crowded people in there, and we approach them through our programs.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Miss Mary, for the insightful talk and for answering the questions. It is really inspiring how your team could come up with this idea to conserve the sea, and I suddenly feel motivated to do what you have done. Truly inspiring, and thank you very much, Miss Mary.
Thank you so much.
Next, calling up from Hong Kong. She is a conservationist obsessed with the ocean, sustainability, and climate. She is the founder of Sustainable Ocean Alliance Hong Kong, marine conservation organization. She's also involved in ranges of climate action. She's currently leading the Asia Climate Rally in Hong Kong. Also, she believe a conservationist should put people and wildlife together and reboot those lost connection. Welcome to the talk, Miss Rainbow.
Hi, thank you so much. Sure you can hear me. I'm Rainbow from SOE Hong Kong. Thank you so much for my Ocean Hub for having me here. So my presentation is on achieving SDG 14, SOE Hong Kong actions in marine biodiversity conservation and sustainable seafood education. So I believe most of you might know like where Hong Kong is. It's a bit north of from Southeast Asia. So you can see it's like located in East Asia region. So I think like most of the people when I talk about Hong Kong, they think of like shopping malls, like vibrant cities, like good food, that kind of stuff. But Hong Kong is actually a fishing village back in the old days. So what are the connection between Hong Kong and the ocean? So actually, 60% of the total area in Hong Kong are actually sea, and there are over 1,000 kilometers long of shoreline, which is really cool. One thing that I loved about like Hong Kong Ocean is like really diverse. So the western side that you can see on your left hand side is the Pearl River Delta. It's like an estuaries ecosystem. While on the eastern side is the ocean. So the water flows from the Pacific Ocean and got more like hardcore like different marine organisms like situated there. And in Hong Kong, we actually found more, so like over 6,000 marine species, which is really cool. So I one thing that I really love about Hong Kong corals is we actually found more hardcore species in Hong Kong than in Caribbean Sea. Can you believe that? Like we were talking about Hong Kong, like sort of like an urban area, and we actually find more hardcores. So in our government database, I think they recorded over 84 species, but one of the leading sort of research institute in Hong Kong using like DNA method, they actually found like more than 90 species. On the western side, the Pearl River Delta, you can find the really iconic species, the Chinese white dolphin. So a little bit about SOA Hong Kong. The mission of SOA Hong Kong actually composed of three different pillars. The first one is ocean education and literacy, policy advocacy, and also innovative solution. So a little bit on the hub structure. I'm Rainbow, the hub leader and the founder of SOA Hong Kong. We also got Shelley working on creative and design stuff, and James are working on education mainly. Because we are still like quite new in Hong Kong community, so most of our work right now are focusing on education. So one of the first educational project that I want to highlight is led by Shelley, is the Illegal Wildlife Trade Arts Exhibition. We are the supporting organization. It's actually organized by WWF Hong Kong. So you can see there's like sharks and shark fins that like appear on the photo. So you can see hammer shark. They're often like their fins are often got like started because of their fins, because we in some countries or some cities we perceive it as like a delicacy, and we often serve it in a special occasion. But right now Hong Kong are slowly moving away from that tradition, which is like really nice new fashion to see, I would say. And Vaquita is definitely one of my most favorite cetacean species. However, because we love like fish bladder, like some of the place that they really love fish bladder, and often like catching the certain fish bladder will using gill nets and stuff, and Vaquita habitat is overlapping with those certain expensive fish that people are targeting. So the species individual numbers are actually like around like 10 right now. So they are really like endangered, one of the most critically endangered species on Earth. So in terms of like educational stuff, you can also see Shelly make a really cute like game card that you can use an app on your phone to do like AR effects. So it's actually you can see it's like really colorful and become dark afterwards. So we are trying to create an immersive experience for the public in environmental education. We think the audience might more likely to have a greater understanding and sympathize these animals. And by displaying the threats that endangered animals face, the sculpture act as a visual aid to vividly present the reality of illegal wildlife trade and the problems hidden in the black market. So the sort of like the dark component in the game card is actually like try to like unfold those facts that hiding behind. So the other program that we are really excited is the Fish Wildlife Education Program. This program we collab with Life Jungle. Life Jungle is an NGO that on Nama Island, Hong Kong. So one of the really interesting things that they've got is they have like a really deep connection with the fishermen on Nama Island. So they have like the biggest recreational fish wildlife in Hong Kong. So, you might ask me like, so why is like so special? Like it's happening like everywhere on Earth. So I think like it's really special to us because we adopt the STEAM teaching. We encourage the experiential learning. Also, we allow participants to experience the nature with their sensation, and all the instructor that we hire or we invited have solid marine or ecological background in education. And also, we design different programs for different target audience. So we have 3 different tours. So we have tours targeting families. We have tours targeting primary school, secondary school. So today I'm just gonna focusing on family tour, which is the most popular tour in among the 3. So we have the artistic workshop. We have a session called My Ocean. We also have like a fish wildlife orientation and fisherman hat making session. So one of the things that I really love about this program is James are really putting the this in it. So you can see this is a booklet on the right hand side, the photo on the right hand side. It's a tailor-made booklet for children to record the observations so they can like going back to it after even they left the fish wildlife or left the program. So you can see their hand-drew photos and they are bilingual, and so students or children that either mother tongue in Cantonese or English can sort of like have that same experience as well. So during one of the sessions, we will pick up the oyster shells, so biograph organism to put it on land and demonstrate the filtration sort of like function to the participant. So the biofouling is actually really useful in terms of like filtering the sea and getting all sorts of great ecosystem functioning. Another thing that we also do is sustainable fishing. So we are trying to do fishing with the hooks activities. So you can see the picture in the middle is like a person trying to fish, just like tying up a bait on the pole and trying to get the fish up on the land. So according to Wendy, the contact person from Life Jungle, there's only 1 or 2 people can actually get the fish from the pond, from the ocean, back on land since the opening of the recreational fish wrap, which is a really long time. There's only like 2 people are able to manage it. We also do role play as well, so we will assign everyone fish species or functional group, to mimic the food web and ecosystem function, by having the participant playing as part of the ecosystem. So for family tours, we understand that children might get sidetracked or like get bored easily. So we also have the arts workshop session. So we change it from time to time. Sometimes we ask them to paint the pearl oyster shells. Sometimes we ask them to make some creative like artwork with the oyster shells. So the impact we generated, we reached over to over 180 guests, which is a really nice number. I'm really pumped about this. And we trained over 13 experienced instructors. Another program that we've got is the Hong Kong Dolphin Ambassador 2021 and 2022. Is kindly funded by F-Watch Hong Kong. I'm really thankful for the sponsorship. So this project has 3 phases. The first phase is Sea of Noise documentary screening, which already completed in February this year. And we will also have the dolphin watching tours and the conservation actions section later on once the COVID restriction loosen. So this is the Sea of Noise documentary that we are showing. It's like a really cool documentary that focusing on local sort of like iconic species, the Chinese white dolphin, and their sort of like day-to-day life, living in the sea, facing all the different threats. But this documentary mainly focus on the acoustic aspect. So I will show you the trailer just to give you a little bit more information. So this documentary is actually is actually sort of like organized by the F Hong Kong. So we have a documentary screening and panel discussion. We invited Dr. Brian Court, an assistant professor from City University of Hong Kong, from the Aquatic Animal Phytopsy Lab, and also Miss Doris Ru. She is the project manager of cetacean conservation in WWF Hong Kong. So we have like a really fruitful discussion about like what kind of threats that the Chinese white dolphin are currently facing, like what can we do as a public, and dissecting that issue from multiple angles and having like different expert opinions. And I think the documentary will also release online soon this year, maybe. So if you're interested to have like a documentary screening session or interested to see, then let us know. Then maybe we can collab. So other than like focusing on Hong Kong, we also collab with different hubs to sort of like generate the knowledge exchange progress. And the first one that we do is Ocean Day Forum, hosted by SOA Japan. It's a collaboration between SOS Japan, Peru, and Tanzania, and it's a cross-continent discussion on ocean issues and youth actions towards marine protection. So it's like a really fun session that we get to engage like, all the participants and ask all sort of questions, getting perspective from youth that from different continents to get different insights. I share a bit on the recycling situation in Hong Kong. So here's the code and stuff. Another thing that we did is SOA Global Event, hosted by SOA Australia. So this event is mainly to sort of like gather all the hubs and ask them to like sort of introduce their hub project like this one, just to get everyone a feeling and brainstorm like what can we do in the next step. We when we join forces together, what kind of programs or collaboration we can do. So that's sort of like a wrap up of educational side. We are also slowly stepping into policy advocacy pathway. So SOA Hong Kong is like really lucky to join forces with different NGOs, like even international one. So a little bit background on Lantau Tomorrow Vision. Lantau Tomorrow Vision is a proposal that's suggested by the government to reclaim a really big area where have really high biodiversity, where we find sea pan, which is like a rare species that you can find in Hong Kong or even in Asia or in the world. So in the NGOs feel that we are really trying to pressure the government to stop that sort of like pushing the agenda forward and try to think about the impact that brought from that reclamation, and just like trying to think fully before doing the reclamation that can bring irreplaceable impacts to Hong Kong marine biodiversity. Other than that, we SOA also really support on entrepreneurship. In Hong Kong, we try to like support the entrepreneurs and startup in Hong Kong. So we are starting slowly. One of the projects that I get to be involved is, I think some of you may know about this, especially MJ. So it's the Bluepreneur Bootcamp Program 2.0. I was like, I'm really happy to be invited to be one of the mentors, to giving comments, advice, and support to the participant who are working on marine related solution. And the team that I support to is the Blue Carbon team. They won the runner-up, which is really exciting. So I guess that's a brief overview of what SOA Hong Kong has been doing. So if you're interested, follow us on social media, on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're interested to collab with us, feel free to email us. The email is like written on the screen. If you want to check us more, then definitely go to our social media and website. We welcome for local, regional, and international collaboration, either is in research or outreach, any kind of stuff. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, so the materials is actually some kind of clay that I'm using for making sculpture. So the inside, we try to save some clay as well. So the inside is actually newspaper, and then Shelly will put like a layer of clay on the top and try to make it looks like an animal shape, and doing some colors on it.
All right, cool. Thank you, Miss Rainbow, for the sharing. Glad to see SOA in Hong Kong being going actively in carrying out activities involved from other SOA region and the community itself. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Now we bring to you Mr. Mark Haver. Mark Haver is an advocate for action on ocean, climate, and sustainable fashion. He started his own consulting firm in Washington, D.C. called Blue Green Generation. This is now his 5th year of involvement with Sustainable Ocean Alliance, where he led the inaugural cohort of the Youth Policy Advisory Council. He now serves as SOA's Global Policy Advisory and North American Regional Representative. Now we welcome Mr. Mark to the talk.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very clear.
Great. Selamat pagi, teman-teman. It is such a
Selamat
pleasure to
pagi.
meet you all. My name is Mark Haver, and I'm calling in with Sustainable Ocean Alliance here in Washington, D.C. I do have a presentation with you all today, but it looks like I did forget my laptop. Would it be possible for MJ or one of the other presenters to share their screen? I can give you the link to the presentation in the chat. Does that work?
Yes, Mr. Mark.
Great. Okay, I just sent my presentation in the chat, and you should be able to click on it and open it, and then we can run through together.
Okay, wait a minute, yeah. So, Mr. Mark, how are you doing over there?
I am doing very well. It's been a very long week. I wish everyone a very happy World Ocean Week.
Yeah.
I know many people are very busy this time of year. I know I am. I just hosted a big sustainable fashion swap here in DC yesterday. Still recovering, but it's really great to be able to come on to calls like this with my friends in Southeast Asia.
I see. All right, Mr. Mark, there you go.
Great. Well, once again, a big thank you to all of you. I'm very excited to present this global division of Sustainable Ocean Alliance through our Youth Policy Advisory Council. You can go ahead and forward to the next slide, please. So before I dive into our presentation on what our policy work is, who does our policy work, I first wanted to ask you all a question. Why is policy important? If you would like to put your answers in the chat, I'd love to see some information about why you guys think policy is an important part of the puzzle for us to advocate for a cleaner ocean, a cleaner planet, a cleaner climate. I'm going to give you about a 30-second countdown. "15, 14, 13, 12, 11." We can get more answers. 10, 9, 8.
Mr. Haver, there's someone can answer that.
Oh, perfect.
Wait a minute.
No problem, no problem. I am loving these answers in the chat, though. We have some great answers here about how policy keeps people accountable and how policy allows the oceans to be protected collectively. Oh, we can hear you now.
Can you listen to me now? Can you listen? I'm trying to answer your question.
Yeah,
Hello?
we can hear you great. Hello.
Okay. What I understand about policy works is something that you have to carry out projects to understand the issues on. Of course, I'm in conservation issues and management. Everybody have to understand that, and then only we can develop that issue into the legislation. Is that
Yes.
the answer that you expected to be answered that way? Okay, thank you.
I think the beautiful thing about policy is that whether you're talking about legislation, whether you're talking about accountability, whether you're talking about a legal form of protection, policy is the blanket that can really make sure that the principles and values that we hold true to ourselves is something that our society can reflect in some type of legal pact. This World Oceans Day, I had the pleasure of being at the United Nations headquarters in New York City, and they were talking about all the other aspects of how we can get to a clean ocean. They said, well, we have the research, well, we have the finance, well, we have the communities who are ready to make the changes, but we're missing the political will from leadership. In an age where our climate is deteriorating, in an age when our ocean is in a cycle of decline, they're not taking enough ambitious or urgent action in their policies and in their regulations that allow us to achieve the vision that we see, not just for our future, but for generations to come. And so policy is one of the most important tools in the toolbox that still needs to be activated to support this vision of a healthy future, of a healthy ocean that we all want to see. And it's very much that future that is guided by the work of the Youth Policy Advisory Council. Next slide, please. So in the vision of delivering this healthy ocean for our generation and for generations to come, the Youth Policy Advisory Council takes some of the brightest talent from around the world. We have about 20 young ocean leaders, each from a different country, who have been recognized for their policy expertise and what community initiatives or statewide initiatives that they have led. These are incredible young people who are dedicated to making change for the environment. And they're all united behind two common goals. And really those two common goals are our policy campaigns. Those policy campaigns are for the Global Blue New Deal and for a deep sea mining moratorium. Next slide, please. So what does YPAC look like? We call our Youth Policy Advisory Council YPAC for short. And as you can tell from this incredible group photo, that it is a really diverse group of awesome and engaged young people between 18 and 35. Our youngest member is 18 and our oldest member is 35, showing that truly anyone can be engaged in this movement and still make a difference. Next slide, please. We have some incredible leaders at the helm. In fact, our chair, El Wibisono, is representing a Southeast Asian country. Indonesia is at the helm of YPAC. So I'm sure as the region, you all have a lot that you want to see YPAC achieve and a lot of faith and community that you can find in YPAC. Next slide, please. So our first policy campaign is the Global Blue New Deal. Next slide, please. Our Global Blue New Deal is modeled after the Green New Deal. You may have heard of the Green New Deal before. If you have, put a +1 in the chat. But the Green New Deal was championed by Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in the United States and is often viewed as a landmark document of climate action framework that helped spark some of the largest demonstrations we have seen in our streets related to climate action. It was basically a call to action, recognizing the urgency of the climate crisis and what we can do to fix it. And as cool as this 14-page document was, as impactful as it was, it had one big blue hole. It didn't mention the oceans. It mentioned it once or twice, but really just as kind of a pass. We recognize that the oceans are our planet's greatest climate regulator. In fact, oceans have absorbed 90% of global warming since 1980. So if we're going to think about solutions to the climate crisis, we must recognize the ocean and its important role. That's why we knew that not just with the climate crisis affecting our oceans, but with overfishing, with plastic pollution, with so many marine ecosystems under attack, that we needed to create an ocean and climate policy framework that would truly be able to help guide us to that healthy planet, healthy ocean future that all of us envision. So we took comments from hundreds of youth around the world in and outside of the Sustainable Ocean Alliance community to identify what were our priorities as youth. How did we want to build an intergenerational climate justice framework? How did we want to rebuild our economies, our societies after the pandemic? And thinking hundreds of years from now, how do we want to rebuild our relationship with nature itself? This is a decade of action. This is the UN Ocean Decade for Sustainable Development. This is the UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. There's so much talk about a sustainable blue economy and sustainable finance right now. It's the perfect time for us as youth to assert ourselves and say, as young people, we are the greatest stakeholders in the quality of the environment. And as stakeholders, if we're supposed to be governing these resources in a democratic way, then we need to be at the decision-making table. We need to be part of these governance processes too. And if you guys won't bring a seat for us at the table, then we're going to create a policy framework ourselves. So this policy framework of the Global Blue New Deal will be proposed to governments at the international, national, and local levels to ensure that we can bring the changes that we want as young people to the communities that need them most, so we can build the future we all want together. Next slide, please. So like I said, it's not just the climate crisis afflicting our ocean. So we have four main categories of the issues affecting our ocean that we provide policy solutions for. The first pillar is about addressing the climate emergency and identifying what solutions we have with our ocean and how we can decarbonize the ocean economy and create greater circularity within our global economic systems. The second pillar is all about preserving biodiversity, and not just preserving it, but scaling it back, ensuring that we're restoring healthy ecosystems and using them to help protect us and create resilience and mitigation strategies in the face of a changing climate. We also have to recognize the importance of building sustainable seafood. It's not just a market where we have wild capture fisheries. Now aquaculture supplies the majority of the food that we eat as global consumers. And there's even a third way we're getting seafood now. The plant-based and cell-cultured seafood industry is expanding rapidly and may be one of the newest sources of protein in the 21st century. So we provide these different policy recommendations to help guide these different aspects of the sustainable seafood sector. And last but not least, so many of the problems affecting our ocean are because of poor ocean governance. There are some fundamental issues with how stakeholders like young people, stakeholders like indigenous people, stakeholders, local communities, how we are involved in governance decisions. And so our fourth pillar is all about stakeholder engagement, trying to improve the ways we can all engage in democratic governance. Next slide, please. So what have we done? We've done a lot. We were actually able to bring our Global Blue New Deal to COP26 in Glasgow, Scotland, where it was featured by the UN high-level climate champions. For us as young people, this was an incredible accomplishment. Last year, I was the inaugural chair of our very first cohort of YPAC. We didn't even exist 3 years ago. So to be able to take our council, to be able to take our Global Blue New Deal and get legitimized by the UNFCCC, by the UN high-level climate champions, was something that shows that when young people are dedicated, when young people organize themselves and band together, we truly can lead action. And all of this would not have been possible without partnership. I know many of you are involved in many organizations at home or globally. Well, it's really about being able to create this ecosystem for ocean action that allowed us to succeed. One of the most helpful organizations and one of the best webinars we had was actually with folks in Southeast Asia. We partnered with YSEALI, the Young Southeast Asian Leaders Initiative, and they helped us understand what were some of the priority issues affecting Southeast Asian youth. And we were able to take those issues, your priorities, to COP26 to make sure that even if you couldn't make it, you are at least represented at the table, and we were providing policy solutions to guide us to a sustainable tomorrow. Next slide, please. So now we're in our second cohort of the Youth Policy Advisory Council, and here's what we hope to do next. Listen, last year was all about drafting. We had this vision of taking our policy recommendations to governments to implement them, but realistically, we first needed to write the darn document. So now that we have it written, we need to update it to all the different ways we view the ocean in the context of 2022, how we view terms like net zero versus low carbon, how we view terms like a blue economy versus a sustainable blue economy, how we view nature-based solutions. So it's all about being able to take these important conversations we're having at these conferences during the Ocean Super Year and applying them so that our document can stay modern and reflective of shifting perspectives in our youth constituencies. Then it's all about regional implementation. A global Blue New Deal is great, but we're not going to be able to get everything done at a global level. In fact, the biggest changes occur locally. So we want regional Blue New Deals. We know that the issues of Southeast Asia are different from the issues I have here in the States in Washington, DC. And so we want to have regional summits this year in fall to learn about how we can break the global Blue New Deal into 3 priorities for each region and create action strategies so that we can truly create these coalitions that can advocate for policy change at local, national, and region-wide levels in Southeast Asia. It's about building a national movement for ocean action. People are out here in the streets protesting for climate, but they don't even know that the oceans are a big part of it. So it's about being able to elevate the ocean and its importance within our national movements for social change. And last but not least, we still need people to know about it. And so we're continuing to educate people about our work, about the Global Blue New Deal, and trying to make sure we can fit ourselves into the policy spaces where we can make a difference. All right, next slide, please. So that's just one of our policy campaigns. We have 2 signature policy campaigns. The first was the Global Blue New Deal, as you guys heard, but the second is also a very important issue. It's about deep sea mining. Next slide, please. So what the heck is deep sea mining? There is this amazing video that I would love to share with you all. I know deep sea mining is an issue that many people are not aware of, and I thought this video does a great job of explaining the issue in a fun way with a song that you're not going to be able to get out of your head. Would you press play on the video, please? I think I'm having trouble hearing it. Can anyone else hear the music? Even if you can't hear it, it does have captions and the graphics are great. So I'm just gonna mute for a second and enjoy the video. It is a really good overview of what deep sea mining is and what the threat is. No worries about the video. I'll just give a quick overview of what the issue is really quick, and then we can dive into more of our policy work. So what the heck is deep sea mining? What is this issue? Deep sea mining, and yes, I can definitely share the link of that video. Can you guys still hear me? I am able to search it on YouTube really quick and put it in. You guys will definitely have to save this for later. I swear I watch it like every week for inspiration, so I know you guys will love it too. All right, I got it. I'm putting it in the chat. But for a quick overview of the deep sea mining issue, deep sea mining is really interesting because it's not necessarily an issue that is super new. There have been conversations about deep sea mining that originated when they were creating UNIQLO, which is the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. I believe UNIQLO was officially passed in 1972, which governed the high seas. The high seas are the areas of the ocean beyond the borders that our countries place on our oceans. So every country has an EEZ or EEZ that goes 200 miles beyond their coastline. But anything beyond that that doesn't hit another country's EEZ is the high seas, a global commons that is managed by the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. So people are looking to mine the high seas. There's specifically this area in the Pacific, south of Hawaii, called the Clarion-Clipperton Zone. This zone has all different types of abyssal plains, seamounts, and hydrothermal vents, where you can find polymetallic nodules. Polymetallic nodules are these baseball-sized minerals containing cobalt, zinc, manganese, copper, that people are trying to bring up to the surface after thousands and thousands of meters down so that we can use them in tech like electric vehicles, batteries, a lot of technology that we need for a clean energy transition, or at least that's what the deep sea mining companies are saying. The only problem is that there's absolutely no way for us to do this without causing irreversible damage to our seafloor, to our deep sea ecosystems, to the entire water column, and we have no idea what the impacts are on climate. That's the thing. We have discovered just about 20% of our seafloor, and we've done so much less exploration of our deep sea ecosystem in its entirety. There's so much more research that needs to be done on the deep sea itself for us to even understand it. We know more about the surface of the moon, but yet we're already rushing to exploit one of the last frontiers for discovery on the planet. Not to mention the fact that every year we're finding out more and more information about our ocean carbon pump and how much the particulates in the water are settling on the seafloor and sequestering carbon. That's right. Even our seafloor, which is just about as removed as our atmosphere from our atmosphere as you can get, is sequestering carbon from it and preventing us from further experiencing any type of runaway climate change. So when we go down there with these submarines and big machines that look like bottom trawlers to go in and mine these polymetallic nodules, we're causing irreversible damage to ecosystems that have taken tens of thousands of years to develop, and impacts that we can't quantify, qualify, or even explain or predict, let alone mitigate when it goes wrong. The only problem here is that we're not just trying to create regulations here to make sure that we can extract these minerals sustainably, which I'm not sure we can do, at least not with a given science. But there's this international organization under the UN called the International Seabed Authority. And this body has this obscure rule in its charter that basically says that there is a singular country, any country can pull a 2-year trigger, which means if they want to give a deep sea mining company a license to exploit the minerals, currently we're only at the exploration phase. If they would like to exploit the minerals, then the International Seabed Authority has 2 years to create regulations for how to mine these minerals. Otherwise, companies can self-regulate. I'm sorry, have we not learned from the climate crisis? Shouldn't we know that companies being able to self-regulate doesn't work? It is not sustainable, and it continues to cause issues of environmental and social injustice. Not to mention the fact that there are studies that show, led by Diva Amon and other deep sea researchers, that it will take another 10 years for us to collect the baseline environmental data for us to begin to predict what the effects of deep sea mining are. So it's really a big problem for us in being able to create regulations within a 2-year time frame and make sure that they can do this in a sustainable way. There really is no way for us to make sure this can be done in time with proper regulations in place. In fact, the 2-year trigger was pulled last year. Now it's it's June 2022, and we only have until July or August 2023 to have them stop this regulatory creation process. We need an influential country to actually call for a moratorium on deep seabed mining. We're not calling for a moratorium forever. We're calling even just for a moratorium for 10 years so we can continue to collect the science, we can continue to collect the research, we can continue to let our decision making be guided in an informed way. After the pandemic, after the climate crisis, we should all know that it's evidence-based decision making that matters most. This is why we as Sustainable Ocean Alliance, this is why as the Youth Policy Advisory Council, this is why we as a part of the Deep Sea Conservation Coalition are advocating for this deep sea mining moratorium. And so what can we do to advocate for this moratorium? We led a campaign at the IUCN World Conservation Congress in Marseille last year, where there was this Motion 69. And Motion 69 called for a deep sea mining moratorium. The World Conservation Congress has no jurisdiction over the International Seabed Authority, but the motion for a moratorium passed resoundingly. It passed by all the governments, it passed by all the civil society organizations, and if there was a youth vote, you know it would pass too. And so it was a symbolic win to show us that the world is really against deep sea mining, but yet the International Seabed Authority continues with this rushed process to create regulations that can serve to exploit our seabed minerals. Next slide, please. So our stance is not just calling for a moratorium because we know it's a bad idea, but we actually have very specific parts of our call for a moratorium. We're calling for more scientific research to understand biodiversity, the carbon cycle on the ocean, the impacts of mining, mitigation, recovery, and what opportunities there are in a circular economy. In fact, many of the minerals that we're calling for the technologies that we need now for the low carbon transition, we're already moving away from non-renewable minerals. Why would we go ahead and start mining for minerals that we may not even need for technology 30 years from now? It doesn't make sense, and it's extremely risky. It's clear that we don't just need this research to inform our decision-making, but our decision-making process is corrupt itself. The International Seabed Authority completely lacks due process and is not fit for purpose. The Secretary General of the International Seabed Authority was a spokesperson for a deep sea mining company. We have special interests at the helm of an organization whose mandate is to quite literally, quote unquote, protect the seabed and its resources for humankind. It seems like instead of focusing on protection, the International Seabed Authority is focusing on exploitation. Additionally, we've received information that the International Seabed Authority is moving its meeting from Kingston, Jamaica to an unknown city in Jamaica. And instead of giving every observer organization 2 badges for observers like they've done in the past, they're restricting it to just 1. So they're going at all lengths to try and stop people who are not national delegations from attending this meeting and lending our voice for a moratorium. They want these negotiations to go on behind closed doors in secret. Whenever they make these announcements, they make them in October and they make them in November, when the world has its attention directed at COP26, or this year at COP27, or next year at COP28. We're calling on reform of the ISA so that we can be more inclusive, transparent, accountable, account for intergenerational justice and equity, and truly ensure that we're following the mandate of protecting the seabed for mankind. Next slide, please. And you can tap 3 times. There's going to be 3 pop-ups. Thank you. So we have a petition with the Oxygen Project. That's one of our campaign partners, and we've collected over 60,000 signatures for a moratorium. We've led some incredible microgrant projects that have been for their communities that educate people on deep sea mining in areas in the Pacific, like the Cook Islands, and other small island developing states like Seychelles, or in really relevant countries that are supplying the demand for these mineral resources, like Germany. And I already told you guys about our World Conservation Congress campaign, so we're just picking up steam. Next slide, please. One more slide. You tap 3 times, thank you. And so this is what we need your help with. First of all, I don't know how many of you guys knew about this issue beforehand, but I know this is an issue I'm passionate about. It's so clear that it's wrong and that we're rushing this process that I want your friends to know too. So make sure you follow at SO Alliance and at the Oxygen Project on Instagram and share our posts about deep sea mining with your friends and with your family. We would love for you guys to visit www.soalliance.org to go to our deep sea mining page and sign our petition. With you guys, we can even get to 75,000 signatures. Next slide, please. And we'll also need your help with the Global Blue New Deal. I know that we're going to be organizing those regional summits to create the regional Blue New Deals in the fall. So I'm sure you guys will hear more information from me and MJ through that. And the only way for us to really change the world is for us to inspire and for us to engage with our communities. So never be afraid to start something on your own. I started the Youth Policy Advisory Council in college and was really working on it hard throughout the pandemic. There were many times when I wanted to give up, when I didn't know where it was going, but it ended up taking me to some pretty cool places. And now look at where I am talking to you all. So if you have an idea, be bold. As young people, we need to be bold. We need to be leaders for our generation and for our generations to come. So never be afraid and always think about policy as an opportunity for us to secure and legally require the future that is our human right. That is our human right. So stay posted between me and MJ and all the other fabulous organizations involved about how you can take part in our Global Blue New Deal and work with Sustainable Ocean Alliance and our Youth Policy Advisory Council. Final slide, please. I want to thank you guys so much, and it's time to join the Alliance. It is my absolute pleasure, MJ. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm happy to take questions. I think we have about 5 minutes, right? Sorry, I talk too much about deep sea mining. I'm very passionate about it.
Thank you, Mr. Harver, for the policy exposure. This slot opens my mind how crucial it is to have strict policies to conserve our ocean for the sake of mankind. So, any question from the platform so far? All right, no questions. Thank you again, Mr. Harver, for the talk. All right.
Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate all the work that you do, and I hope you have a great week.
Yeah, same goes to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's get back to the talk. From University Malaysia Terengganu, Dr. Roswati Md Amin, or well known as Dr. Rose, whose research interests in zooplankton physiology mainly copypots in marine ecosystem involving a combination of experimental lab work and field studies. Welcome, Dr. Rose. Very happy to have you sharing about your knowledge on marine life threats to human. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Camelia. Okay. You listen here or not? Can you hear me?
Can clearly hear.
Okay. I see my slide.
All right, can see, Doctor.
Yeah. Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera. Okay, you can hear clear, right?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. It seems I covered differently than the others. Why everybody pressing on the sustainability policy. So my talk will be on the threats. Okay, so just a general knowledge. Okay, this is not really my field. I initially want to focus on threat caused by marine organisms like microalgae and jelly plankton to coastal human, coastal user or beachgoer. Okay, specifically in Malaysia, but I think too much to cover, so I will just take jelly plankton for the sessions. We can remember threats not only to human, it start with the ecosystem itself when we talk about marine organisms. Okay, so but here I'll be sharing the thing we should know or action we should have taken if we encounter or come across this organism. Okay, so jelly plankton or gelatinous zooplanktons. Okay, the term used we can call as a societal concept instead of the scientific concept. Okay, it's to classify soft-bodied plankton, including tunicates and also ctenopore, which is comb jelly. But in this talk, I will just focus on phylum Nidaria. Okay, why we should consider this. Recently, we noticed on their unusual arrival of this group and a recurrent event in Malaysia, but knowledge on this is still underexplored. Okay, so first let us understand the relationship. Nidaria, I will focus on phylum Nidaria. Nidaria is placed here. Okay, so Anthozoa, Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa, and Cubozoa make up the 4 different classes of Nidaria. Okay, their distinguishing features is nidocytes, specialized cell that use mainly for capturing prey and defense mechanism. Okay, here's the classifications: Hydrozoa, Scyphozoa, and Cubozoa. There is no Malay translation for hydrozoa, but in Indonesia they call ubur api. Okay, and for true jellyfish they call as ubur sejati. Okay, Portuguese man of war. Okay, this is Portuguese man of war, Phacelia phasalis, or can call as blue bottles. Okay, it's often called a jellyfish, but it's actually a species of siphonophore, a group of hydrozoan that are closely related to jellyfish. Okay, so it seems that if you look at here, this picture, they are one individual each, okay, but not actually for hydrozoan. Okay, it's a colonial organizations. This colony, they are pelagic floater. So they are so integrated, behaving like a single animal, and often mistaken for jellyfish. And so this is example. So they are colony of different polyps or zoid. So this is Phacelia phasalis, blue button, and then this one is available by the wind cellar. Okay. So here are some reported jellyfish attack in Malaysia from class Cubos 1, box jellyfish. This is in Langkawi, and this one is in Penang. And then this one is from Scyphozoa and Hydrozoa, the one I mentioned about Valela, Phacelia phasalis. Okay. This is in Terengganu, mainly in Pantai Kekabu. I don't remember the other beach. Okay, so And just recently, I think last month, okay, the recent report on jellyfish attack in Terengganu and Pahang water, okay, the civil defense states are still unsure on the species the identifications or whether they are from the same species or different. Okay, so let's we understand first the characteristic of this jellyfish or jelly planktons. Okay, they basically have two body forms. Okay, swimming medusa and also polyps. So this one is medusa. I'm not really sure you can see. This one is medusa, and then this one is polyps. Okay, for Scyphozoa, they typically range between 2 to like from 2 to 40 and can reach up to 2 meters. They are largest, okay, bigger than hydrozoa and cubozoa. And they also classify based on the presence of oral arm and marginal tentacles. Okay, so if you look at here, this is the arms and the tentacles. So this is arm and this is tentacle. So the classification of the morphology is depending on the umbrella shapes, whether they are color or not. Okay, the lappets, the tentacles, the arms. Okay, and this one is a colonial hydroid, as I mentioned just now. Okay, this is the individual polyps or zooid. Differentiates. They are, they organized to make an individual, one individual. And the function, this one is for this polyp function for floating and some other function for reproductions. Gastrozoid and dactylozoid is function for feeding. Okay, and then so this one is the, as I mentioned, when we talk about Nidaria, they are classified based on the nidocytes. Okay, the tentacle of the jellyfish is very sensitive and is triggered quickly to defend themselves. Okay, to catch prey. So this is the nidocyte. Okay, and this one inside here is a nematocyte. Okay, with stored thread and bugs. All right, so nidocyte can be found in the tentacle of Nidaria, and it's if the nidocyte are touched, this one, they are very sensitive. So if they are touched, they will attack. It's either entangle and it will release a thread, discharge like this, okay, and it will either entangle the prey or instantly penetrate the flesh of the prey or the predator. Okay. So this is example of some jellyfish reported in Malaysia. Just two, this Kabuzuan, okay, box jellyfish, and the rest is Scyphozoa. They are often colored, okay, compared to box jellyfish, they are transparent. Okay, and here are the sample collected from the from Langkawi. This one Cubozoa cribidates, and also this one is Dropids, okay, and this one is Teluk Data just last 2 years, and this one is Scyphozoa. Okay, here's the study made by Muhammad Swan in 2016 for 3 years period observations from 2012 to 2014. Okay, based on the clinical feature and treatment of patients presenting at the emergency department of Langkawi Hospital. So the highest you will see here is July, October, November, and December. And especially this one is during the school holiday. And the highest recorded at Chinang Bay, Pantai Chinang. Okay, you know that this is due to popular beach and tourist destination in Langkawi. Okay, and if you look at on the average majority, okay, young and is more towards men, okay, and foreigner. And it's happened majority during daytime. Okay, that one in the west coast, in the east coast of Peninsula Malaysia. Every year, like starting since 2013, okay, Portuguese men of war became stranded on a beach. Okay, I think not only here, it's been reported around the world, but it's focused in east coast of Peninsula Malaysia. Okay, they dry up and die. Okay, all just partying and chowing down together in the open ocean. The life is good, but then the wind blow a colony of this jelly on shore. Okay, so you will notice the presence of this species early of the year, normally starting from January to March. Okay, So please avoid swimming in the area of higher stranding organisms. Bukit Keluang. So this one is Bukit Keluang, yes, I mentioned just now, but okay, this is in Pantai Bukit Keluang. So high possibility you could easily attack by this jelly. Okay, and don't touch, even they are dead. So there's the stings still there. Okay, and this is blue buttons. They are actually observed to co-occur or associate with Phacelia phacealis together with Valella valella. Okay, so we just made an analysis just to see the trend of Phacelia phacealis trended in our coastal water. Okay, so the highest you will see here is in Terengganu. Okay, we're not really sure. Could be that Terengganu has a coastline of beaches or islands available to local community and tourists. Okay, and then we will see what will be the implications. Okay, it has long been reported. If you talk about jellyfish, everybody know that you know, because of humans, human forcing, overfishing, eutrophications, it will actually increase jellyfish dominated ecosystem, which we think that it will compete with adult fish, okay, preying on the eggs and larvae to reduce survivors' and recruitment of fish stock. But actually their research suggests that jelly planktons might be much more beneficial to marine life than previously thought. This is example, okay? I try to find information on this, and jellyfish, they are actually important food sustenance as well as providing shelter to fish. So they use this, they use their jellyfish host as mean protections from predator and for feeding opportunity, helping to reduce fish mortality and increase recruitments. Okay, and the second one is linking primary productions here, okay, to high trophic level and the deep oceans. Okay, we know that jellyfish, they have wide diet preference, and they feed on phytoplanktons and zooplankton, and these will actually, you know, they will have higher carbon content. And the trachypellis also bigger and larger, so it easily sinks to the seabed. Okay, and then they're transferring jelly carbon upon a bloom collapse. Their carcasses is actually important. Okay, and this answers the importance of seabed's role in the carbon storage, as mentioned by Mark just now. Okay, factor driving the onset of jellyfish fall are actually linked to the aging or end of the blooms. Okay, and another example, you will see that if you look at on here, how possible jellyfish could solve our ocean problems. I tried to find something, and I found that have an initiative study on jellyfish, which can help against the plastic pollution. Interesting, actually. In the study, they use jellyfish mucus as an absorbing property that can catch microplastic. Okay, but still is ongoing. Okay, they are developing new medicines instead of that. Okay, and providing a sustainable source of food. Okay, so before I end, I would like to touch a bit on what we should do if we attack by the jellyplanktons. Okay, by jellyfish. Okay, what is the best recommendation step actions we have to do? Okay, referring to this article, okay, they did study on the effective treatment recommendation for some cubozoan species and also blue bottle hydrozoa. Okay, if you Google, if you are okay on site and you will see you know nothing. Okay, is you Google and you will find a lot of suggestions to treat this thing. But I consider this poster is unacceptable. Okay, first you have to get the presence of the water, of course, and then rinse. Okay, rinse the area with hot water to deactivate stinging cell. Okay, rinsing is considered no harm. Okay, and the third one, it gently removes the stinger. I'm not really sure whether this is recommended or not, and some say that it's used tweezer, but you have to be very careful because sometimes they scraps. Okay, it will actually increase, you know, hemolysis by increasing needed discharge, and it will lead to more infections. And then if you look at the number 3 and number 4, and you have to rinse with vinegar. Yes, vinegar must be pure. Okay, if you dilute the vinegar, the less the effective treatments. Okay, the rinse it's actually um, for 30 seconds using pure vinegar. Okay, and the last one, you can treat them with cream or hydrocortisone, okay, to relieve the itching and also swelling. Okay, so rinsing with seawater actually not recommended, as this will create an opportunity uh, for the stinging beyond the original tentacle skin's contact zones. Okay, so it will increase the hemolytic zone size, right? So this is what I mentioned just now. So you use vinegar, 30 seconds. There is no evidence that vinegar it will induce more. Okay, so it's good. So it's considered safe rinse solutions for the cubozoan stain. Okay, for warm water, about like 10, warm water about like 40 degrees Celsius. Okay, for 10 to 20 minutes. Okay, and then the last one is for cubozoa. It's a study show that whether you use vinegar or also hot pack, as the treatment will less effective. Okay, the best outcome is actually the use this technology we call sting no more cream. Okay, like spray cream. This is from Dr. Angel Yanagihara. She's a research professor at the University of Hawaii, working on this, studying on the, the treatment for a jellyfish, the best for over like 18 years. Okay, so remember that in the case of severe infection, severe attack, or cubozoan attack, the unvalidated advice could actually cost life. Okay, so avoid using seawater to rinse because it will spread more, and also ice pack. Probably to some species like Portuguese man of war, still we can use ice pack, but it's less effective than hot pack. Okay, scratching, please, it puts stress, okay, and it release more toxin. The same for baking soda. Some suggest to use baking soda and shaving cream. So please don't do that. It will increase more. Okay, and then urination is not suggested or recommended because it's too diluted. Okay, and so it has salt content that will further promote toxin secretions. Well, I think that's all. Information of jellyfish and fossil has been given to the public, reported in media. So what we should do, okay? So this is me explaining on the physiology of the fossil stranded in Serengani water. So with that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera.
Spectacular. Thank you, Dr. Rose, for the talk. It is important for us to, as human beings, to acknowledge that marine life also can be threatened to us. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you
So
very
any
much.
question from the platform? All right, there's no question from the platform, so I proceed to the next talk, yeah?
Okay, thank you very much, Amelia.
Thank you again, Doctor. Next, our session is from a young lady from Langkawi who does backyard exploring with Sunprint. It is an initiative to explore the wild beauty of urban residential spaces. It is an observational study of wildlife and growing landscape through art marking via a process called cyanotype, a form of exploration and meditation in the wilderness while contemplating the beauty of impermanence in which we live. It is highlighting lessons in nature growing in our gardens, neighborhoods, and pavements, as well as pushing exploration of biodiversity wherever it can be found. To hear more about this eye-catching initiative, I would like to welcome Ms. Balqis Tajalli to speak on Make Art with the Sun. The floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of the panel talks. So allow me to share for a bit my screen. Okay, hold on. Okay, put this on the slideshow. All right. I guess before we begin, I just want to say thank you for the hosts as well as other panels who have been really showing their passion and sharing their advocacy and things and what they do with their cohorts and their organizations, and really is very inspiring. And thank you, Dr. Roswati, for that helpful tips to evade or to overcome our jelly stingfish, especially in Langkawi. It is quite a predominantly problem when you go and have a good time by the beach. So anyway, my name is Balqis Tajalli, and I'm an artist that actually perceives nature and my surroundings through printmaking and photography. I see art really as a medium for the wider public to understand their natural environment, and using art not to overwhelm or simplifying the scientific facts, of course, with the help of the experts. I believe art enables us to kind of retain complex informations and also awakens our sense of wonder, especially when we are close to our natural environment, and we can also bring the sort of emotional attachment for the natural environment through the workings or the mediums of art. So let me introduce you the art of Sunprint, or what we photographers known as cyanotype. So briefly, what is Sunprint or cyanotype? Cyanotype is actually a historical photographic process that creates this beautiful blue and white images that you see before and on the screen when it is exposed to the UV light or the sunlight. So it is actually a chemical reaction which comes from this combination of two iron salts, which is potassium ferric cyanide and ferric ammonium citrate. So when so it's a very simple process that only requires this two non-toxic solution in comparison to the black and white silver nitrate photography. So what you need is just the solutions and also a piece of paper, or really any surface for the metal frac. So the process goes, you coat the surface, here you coat a piece of paper, you allow it for it to dry a bit, and then you compose your objects. So I work mainly with botanical subjects, but you can put basically anything, things that you forage around, like feathers, stones, seashells, sands, corals, really anything. And then you would allow it to be exposed under UV light or under sunlight. If it's a really sunny day, it only takes up to 3 to 5 minutes for the chemical reaction to take place. And before you get excited to see the changes, you actually have to wait for a bit. You have to develop it under water. Water, a plain tap water would do, though even seawater is acceptable actually, but not recommended because it is quite an irritant substance. So you can just bring in the seawater into a tray of in a tray container, and then you develop it, the prints inside the water for a few minutes, and you would rinse off the remaining photographic solutions. And what you see is that with the combination of water or H2O, you would see the ferric ferrocyanide or the Prussian blue to emerge. And this is really quite an experiential experience or journey for kids and adults alike to look at, oh, something come up from nothing really. And then you would finally see the blue slowly deepens as it is exposed to the air, and then you wait for it to dry. And yeah, it does create, you have created, really essentially a blueprint or a cyanotype print. So I'm unable to share or bring you to my studio, but what I can do is to share this 2 minutes video clip of essentially the behind the scene process of making a cyanotype print. I do hope there is an audio, but if not, I'll just go through together with you. Let me know if there's an audio or not. A little bit of ASMR.
Miss Balqis,
Yes.
could you please just explain because we can't hear the
Okay. All
sound.
right. Sure. Let me just go through behind a little bit. So this is one of the behind the scenes of one of the artwork called Lalang o Lalang, or Grass o Grass. So this is a backdrop of my hometown in Langkawi, where I actually worked together with my family to forage, all kinds of flowering grass in the paddy field. So yeah, this is the valley of Bukit Masawar in Langkawi, and at my home, it's yeah, this is usually when I do bigger prints, I would just use the outdoor, use a large um, makeshift table to expose my prints. And you see after a while, on a very sunny day, those chemical reactions happens. So take off the plants, rebuild, a sort of negative, a hint of the negative of the image. And then according to the size of your prints, here I use, the um, fisherman's tray here. We notice a lot in the market and pasar. And it's really about taking time to process. This thing takes a little bit of patience, for you to sort of rinse the excess chemical. Then you use the gravity back and forth to remove the excess solutions. And here is me just waiting for it to dry. And I have this is small tips. If you don't want to wait 8 hours of it to deepen through oxidization, you can actually speed up the process by introducing a spray of diluted hydrogen peroxide. So this is where I dry it indoors. I don't dry it outdoor in case I did not wash it properly. So you can see really the beautiful reframing of the wild, I would say invasive plants, that we tend to overlook, but actually plays a part in really connecting us to our natural environment. So basically that's that, the process repeats again and again, and yeah, so that's basically it. So there's, the video is actually on YouTube. So if you have the time, just look for it, the making lalang of lalang. So anyway, let me continue to the next bit. Okay, before I go further into the other, I guess, activities that I've organized with my collaborators, a little bit history about Cyanotype. So Anna Atkins, whom I call my lady Cyanotype, is actually a botanist that lived back in the 1800s in the United Kingdom. So she was actually a good friend of the inventor of Cyanotype, John Herschel. And in 1843, she actually created the first photo book known in history that actually incorporates the photographic, photographic of the specimens into as a scientific illustration. And she's produced over 10,000 images over the course of the decade. And imagine this is only 3 years after the invention of, silver printing. And during this time, what it takes for a scientist to create photograph is actually to hold this really large and heavy machinery and camera. So really with cyanotype process, you only need to bring the photographic paper that you make back in your laboratory or back at home. So it was really easy to kind of lounge it and bring it to your expeditions. So thank you, Anna Atkins, for really paving the way for all of us to, make our own herbariums and to express the botanical beauty of things. So anyway, some, going through examples of what I do. So this image that you see in front of me is really the beginning of things. I've started with sharing my cyanotype knowledge with my friends, really just behind my house. And here is truly nature is, as an artist, nature is really an inspiration to all of us. That's the source of it. And working with Cyanotype, with Sunprint, the sun is really our main collaborator. So by bringing in, friends or the wider public to really experience, the nature up close. You touch, you forage, you see and feel the texture and the smells, and then going through all this, handmade process of cyanotype, one can truly like experience the intimacy in highlighting really the existing beauty or even the lack of beauty in our surroundings. So the objective of merging art and science or nature, I would say a nature conservation is really, by actualizing the human and nature relationship, which sometimes we kind of um, are no longer connected to it so much, especially in the urban environment. And so you can even include, part of your environmental education, advocacy, as well as conservation in a truly immersive experience. And so, yeah, that's part about immersive. Okay, and also the program sort of like, grows into so much more than just the backyard now. So after 3 years, we have collaborated with botanical gardens, with other NGOs, and also simply just, creating impromptu session in community parks. And then you kind of like get the community to be curious and ask you, what are you doing? Come, let's join. It's really about having a picnic, really, by bringing in cyanotype and of course recruiting some scientists, and for this instance a lot of ecologist friends and naturalist friends to also bring in a little bit of the environmental education as part of the, say, outreach. So yeah, as an artist, and also for, I guess, for all of us, we find there is more meaning, there is more purpose by, sharing this personal stories or natural histories and facts about, your own plant encounters. And you do it, so doing it side by side, with them. So with the help of, researchers and our friends, really, we could challenge, the conventional nature engagement that we do by really using art as the means to communicate the science or to communicate our advocacy. So yeah, let's just maybe pause a bit. So I am, of course, not from a science background, but I do believe, from wherever you are, we all can start with, by saying hi to people. If you're truly passionate, and then you kind of get to know about other organizations around you, just reach out and say hi. So really, that's what I do. I didn't write even an email. I went and reached out to a friend, or not say a friend, now a friend, but then quite really a stranger. So if you were here with the SOA Talk series yesterday, that was Miss Shu from UBI, or Urban Biodiversity Initiatives. So I just said, hi, my name is Balqis. I do this and that. I'm really inspired by your work. Can I work with you? I have an idea. And actually, that's all it takes, because with just one sentences by Miss Shu, and she was like, sounds amazing. Let's talk more about it. And really, the rest is truly history. And yeah, what begins as one collaboration with UBI, it turns out, oh, let's introduce you to our sister organization, the Rimba Project. So we had this nature engagement underneath Buloh in the City event. So we bring people to see the sanctuary of the Buloh in University of Malaya. And then we actually train a couple of ex-students, scientists, and even other volunteers to use, I guess, cyanotype to introduce the wildlife species around the botanical gardens. And then, somehow the outreach goes to different communities. So because, again, cyanotype is actually a photographic medium, we actually went and partner up with a local photography lab. So it's not just about being in a dark room. Like a dark room, is possible to actually do it in a more sustainable way outside. Less toxic, using less toxic chemicals like cyanotype. And then, of course, we also extend the conversation with a natural textile artist, uh, such as my now friend, Umi Junit from Dunia Motif. She does lovely indigo shibori, actually indigo dye, and indigo dye from scratch, really from planting the indigo plants to actually processing it, and then to actually, fermenting, this is a very taxing work, in comparison to cyanotype. One is a chemical compound and the other is really the natural thing. It's really how do we merge between two of this? So this is an ongoing conversation. And then, of course, what starts as an individual practice has become so much more. So my friend and I, who is a ceramic artist, actually started really a small workshop in the beginning, where we play around our backyards. And as a ceramic artist, she was like curious about, really we can actually use the medium, our soil and our earth and rocks to create our own pigments and colors. So that's what we actually did. And if you realize, we are all from different backgrounds, photography from craft, textile, but, we are connected with this, beautiful things around us. We can work with things that is already existing in our environment. We don't need to buy, we don't need to overconsume lots of things, things like making our own pigments through soils. And then at the same time, we learn about our environment and how can we better take care of them and not to pillage it or take too much from it. So yeah, I feel like art is a universal language. You can use it as a way to collaborate, not just with your, I guess with the NGOs, but also you can just collaborate and connect with your community, connect with your friends. And, it's an awkward beginning. I wasn't foreseeing myself to be, a kind of teacher or an instructor in my career, but it all started with an art event, or it's not an art event, it's a flora festival in Shah Alam. I opened up a booth, create a small booth where people can experience Cyanotype, and I bring friends to actually experience it, and then embrace the imperfect beginning. Don't have any expectations, I really don't, but somehow things, you meet people that surprise you. You meet people that change your mind, that widens your perspective. And this is actually one of, my great local scientist hero, Dr. Sugu from University of Malaya. She co-wrote the book that you see in this picture, Herbs of Malaysia. And he's so wonderful. I find that scientists are truly so passionate and so generous with their knowledge. It's truly amazing. You just don't know what to do with it. But then again, there's so many ideas coming in. And then, during the pandemic, the recent 2 years, it hits us really hard. But then again, we have the technology. Even if you can't bring people to your place, let them use their own space. Let them use their garden to experience Cyanotype, or to experience, whatever that you are advocating for. So that's what I did, with the Malaysians, or with my students. And somehow things just get beyond your control in a good way, because what happened was there's a few teachers. In fact, this is a teacher from Kargil, India, who approached and said, hey, I want to learn about Cyanotype. Can you teach me? Can you train me? And I would love to actually bring this technique to my students. So, oh gosh, I forgot his name. Did I say Encik Faisal? Yeah. So Encik Faisal is actually a teacher and also part of the conservation efforts in Kargil, India. So what he did was actually initiate a kind of herbarium project with his kids, and to create a beautiful record of herbarium about plants in Kargil. And if you Google for Kargil in India, it's beautiful. It's like, I don't know, it's like New Zealand it is just unlike any other because it has, of course, the four seasons that we know and be of, really. So that happened really across a whole continent, another continent. But something that it's also touching is that, you know, really by empowering teachers, especially, you can plant the seed really in a much more faster way to the students. So this teacher actually thought it was, hey, Cyanotype is actually really, really approachable. Why not I introduce this in one of the special education program in an art class? So really, it can be enjoyed by everyone, in no matter what skills that you have or whatever background, and it's really beautiful just to see it growing and, you know, the message coming across. So yeah, and can start also between friends, really, because they are all from people of walks of life. So my advice is just bring your friends, especially if they are, you know, from a different background than you. Perhaps they could share with you a different perspective. And it's really not, because coming from, you know, a humble background, like I don't know, the sense of outreach, I feel maybe at the moment is quite small, but really even small can make a difference. It's really, we're going to talk about lifestyle. We're going to talk about like lifestyle. For instance, among my friends is really the creatives who uses, you know, simply mediums that is toxic and whatnot. So really, why not just make our own colors? And that's what we did in one of the workshops that we had with our friend. So we compiled like different types of rocks and clays that we find in our backyard, and we archived it, we noted it down, and we even create a record of the herbarium through cyanotype process. And through that, somehow, I guess, open up a whole new avenue. Pandemic hit us, but people still want to extend the conversations, really. So we actually brought in friends from all walks of life, or maybe someone that we admire from afar, but truly we just using this platform or this collective name, we're in a collaborative to really talk to these people. So if you saw yesterday, we invited Ms. Shohada as our ecologist to talk about her work, in the performing arts as well as embroidery. She does embroidery too. And then we brought in darkroom artist practitioner, Dr. Azril, who is really, you know, once you are in this photography community, it's only a handful of them who practice darkroom or alternative photography. So it's really lovely to see how he cares so much about the process and not to allow the process to really, you know, deteriorate the environment. So everything that you do really is like, you know, the practice sort of like carry things on your back, and then you don't throw things out in the environment, you keep it back and then throw it properly. So we had a talk with an architect, with an urban sketcher, truly about, you know, recording like humans' activities and life throughout the way. And of course, if you look at his work, he even jots down and details out all the trashes that he sees around him. So I find it quite interesting, really. And of course, the plants and the animals that he sees around the urban landscape. And then there's the primitive potter, we call it Charme, who makes his own kiln where he bakes his pottery. And most of his clays are actually procured from his home. So it's really, you know, he doesn't buy things, he made things. And that is, I think, this was so inspiring. He's still, you know, at a young age. And we did all of it live in Instagram Live under Warenacolab profile. So you can check it out later. We'll share with you the Instagram QR and link. So what you see really in a bit, you know, there's a little bit of art, a little bit of craft and science. And it's an ecosystem, really, you know, even though it seems like very different under the topic that they brought up, but we are all concerned for similar things. And we wanted similar things, which is really taking care of our earth and then finding a meaningful and purposeful practice in what we do every day. So If you notice, we even brought in Dr. Afik, whom he collaborated for a bit with Encik Shufitri. So do check it out. The conversations that we had online, you can have a look through our QR code there, and listen in to other artists and other practitioners really sharing about what they do and how I guess the point is really to inspire each other. And here we are, even one person, we can support others, and I don't know, creating a ripple really, and hopefully that would enable us to make changes and provide positive impact. And yeah, I talk mostly bits, on things that is terrestrial and top on the ground, but really we can collaborate and merge somewhere with our ocean advocacy and friends. So let's collaborate. Say hi to us, reach us out in our emails, in our Instagram. We're pretty young, so we're still very much active in social media and whatnot. So yeah, I'm ready to take any questions, or even if you want to talk and share something. Yeah, I would love to hear more from you. So thank you.
Thank you, Miss Balqis, for your sharing. So this question from the platform. Thanks, Balqis, for sharing your creative and fun project with us. Question: blue color on the paper is caused by dye or chemicals?
Okay, that's a good question. So cyanotype is actually chemicals. As you've heard, it is from ferric ammonium citrate and potassium ferric cyanide. Unlike the natural dye, which is so the difference is actually chemical and dye. So dye is usually something that is, I guess, more friendlier to the textile. So when it's chemical, sometimes it's not really friendly to the environment as much. It's like really synthetic and natural. That's the basically difference. So I hope that answers the question. I would say it's chemical. Yeah, it's not a dye.
All right, cool. Thank you, Miss Balqis. Again, thank you, Miss Balqis, for the sharing. I believe many of us are interested in doing activities under the sun, slowly as we all have been sitting under the roof for too long, I guess. Okay, so from my perspective, it's beautiful how arts can relate to science, ecology, craft, and so on. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Balqis. Okay, with that, mark our talks ends for today. Big thanks to the speakers for the fruitful talks, and I hope we all can implement the knowledge that we obtain today in our life and share them to our family, friends, and other people. Thank you also to the audience for lending your ears, and don't forget to scan and fill up the attendance link. See you tomorrow for the next talk. Goodbye.